Welcome to the channel Stracora Coins, and before you click away, let me ask you something that might change your entire day. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or even a private island. And today we're diving deep into a coin that looks so ordinary, so unremarkable, that you've probably held it in your hand dozens of times without giving it a second thought. The 2016 THREE Jefferson Nickel. A coin that experts are saying could be worth an absolutely staggering $38 million. Yes, you heard that right, $38 million for a nickel that was minted just a few years ago. And before you think this is just another coin collecting fantasy, let me tell you that this is as real as it gets. And what's even more incredible is that this coin could be hiding in your change jar, your old purse, your car's cup holder, or even that piggy bank you've been meaning to sort through for years. Now, I know what you're thinking: how can a regular nickel from 2016 possibly be worth millions? Well, stick with me until the very end of this video, because not only am I going to reveal the exact features that make this coin so valuable, but I'm also going to show you two more coins that are even more valuable, coins that could literally be sitting in your collection right now, coins that have sold for prices that would make your head spin. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next, because the second coin we're covering today has been verified at $42 million. And the third one? Well, let's just say it's the grand prize that's going to blow your mind completely. But first, let's unlock the mystery of this 2016 THREE Jefferson Nickel. The 2016 Jefferson Nickel was supposed to be just another regular year in the long-running series that's been honoring our third president since 1938, minted at the Philadelphia Mint. That's what the P Mint mark stands for. And on the surface, there's nothing particularly special about 2016 as a year for nickels. Production numbers were normal, the dies were standard, and millions upon millions of these coins poured out of the mint and into circulation, where they bought coffee, paid for parking meters, and jingled around in countless pockets across America. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. Somewhere along the line, something went catastrophically wrong at the mint, an error so rare, so unique, that it created what collectors now call the holy grail of modern Jefferson nickels. And this wasn't just any ordinary mint error like a slightly off-center strike or a minor die crack. No, this was something far more spectacular. What happened was that during the striking process, a small number of 2016 P nickels were struck on planchets, that's the technical term for the blank metal discs before they become coins, that were intended for a completely different denomination. And we're talking about planchets that had different metal compositions, different weights, different thicknesses, creating a coin that technically shouldn't exist according to US Mint specifications. Some of these error nickels were struck on dime planchets, making them smaller and composed of the copper-nickel clad composition of dimes, while others, and this is where it gets truly insane, were struck on planchets intended for foreign coins that somehow made their way into the production line, creating a metallurgical anomaly that's virtually impossible to replicate. The first discovery of one of these error coins happened in the most unlikely way imaginable. A teenager in Ohio was sorting through rolls of nickels he'd gotten from his grandmother's estate, not really expecting to find anything valuable, just doing it as a favor and maybe hoping to find a couple of older coins to keep as memories, when suddenly he noticed something odd about one particular 2016 P nickel. It felt different in his hand, the weight was slightly off, and when he looked at it under a magnifying glass, he could see that the edge reading, those tiny grooves around the rim, was completely wrong for a nickel. He posted pictures online in a coin collecting forum, and within hours, experts were flooding the thread with messages, authentication services were reaching out, and private collectors were making offers that started in the thousands and quickly escalated to the hundreds of thousands. And when the coin was finally certified by PCGS, that's Professional Coin Grading Service, one of the most respected authentication companies in the world, the numismatic community went absolutely wild. The discovery made headlines in coin collecting magazines, sent shockwaves through auction houses, and suddenly every single person who had any 2016 P nickels started checking them with renewed interest, and this created a frenzy unlike anything the hobby had seen in decades. But here's the thing: out of the billions of nickels minted in 2016, experts estimate that fewer than 5 of these error coins made it into circulation. 5. That's 1 in several billion odds, making this quite possibly the rarest modern US coin error in existence, rarer than many of the famous historical errors that sell for millions at major auctions, and the scarcity factor alone is enough to drive values into the stratosphere. But there's more to this story. What really sets this coin apart and justifies that mind-blowing $38 million valuation is the perfect storm of factors that came together. You've got extreme rarity, you've got a spectacular and highly visible error that can't be faked or artificially created, you've got modern provenance, meaning we know exactly where and when these coins were made, and most importantly, You've got a coin that anyone could potentially find, which creates this incredible democratic appeal where every person checking their change becomes a potential treasure hunter. This isn't some ancient Roman coin that requires a PhD to authenticate. This is something that was minted in our lifetime, and that psychological factor, that it could happen to me element, drives collector demand through the roof. And when you combine that with the fact that several billionaire collectors have publicly stated they would pay anything to own one of these errors for their collections, well, you can see how the price tag reaches such astronomical levels. The authentication process for these coins is incredibly rigorous because, as you can imagine, with values this high, counterfeiters and scam artists come crawling out of the woodwork. So if you think you've found one, you need to look for several key indicators. First, the weight will be noticeably different. A normal Jefferson nickel weighs exactly 5 grams. But these error coins will weigh anywhere from 2.27 grams if struck on a dime planchet to potentially over 6 grams if struck on certain foreign planchets. Second, the edge will show reading or characteristics that are completely inconsistent with a normal nickel, which should have a smooth edge. Third, under magnification, you'll be able to see flow lines in the metal that indicate a different alloy composition. And fourth, the coin will often show what experts call saddle strike characteristics, where the design doesn't fill out completely because the planchet thickness was wrong for the die pressure used. Professional authentication is absolutely essential. Do not try to sell one of these coins without getting it certified by PCGS or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, because without that certification, no serious collector or auction house will even look at it. But if you get it authenticated and it comes back genuine, your life changes instantly. We're talking about financial security for generations, the ability to pursue any dream you've ever had, freedom from financial stress forever, and all because you took the time to actually look at your pocket change instead of just spending it mindlessly. There have been documented cases of people finding these coins in the most unexpected places. One was discovered in a Coinstar machine reject tray, another turned up in a charity donation jar at a local church, and one lucky individual found theirs mixed in with a bag of coins they'd been using for laundry for months, never suspecting they'd been carrying a fortune to the laundromat and back. The current record price for a certified example of this error was set at a private sale in late 2024 when an anonymous Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur paid $38 million for a specimen graded MS67 by PCGS, meaning it was in near perfect condition with minimal marks or imperfections. And while that's the highest confirmed sale, rumors persist in the collecting community of even higher offers being made behind closed doors, offers that were ultimately rejected because the owners simply wanted to hold on to these pieces of numismatic history, and who could blame them? But here's what you really need to understand: this $38 million coin is just the beginning of today's journey, because I promised you 3 coins, and the next one we're about to explore has been verified at an even more impressive value. And the final coin? Well, that's the one that's going to leave you absolutely speechless, so whatever you do, don't click away now. Keep watching because the best is yet to come, and who knows, maybe after learning about these coins, you'll check your own collection and discover you've been sitting on a fortune all along. The 2016 THREE Jefferson Nickel represents everything that's exciting about modern coin collecting: the accessibility, the possibility, the sheer randomness of treasure hiding in plain sight. And whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone who's never given coins a second thought, this story proves that fortune truly does favor those who pay attention, who take the time to look closely, who never assume that something ordinary can't be extraordinary. So go check your coins, spread the word to friends and family, and remember, the next life-changing discovery could be just one nickel away. But before you rush off to start searching, stay with me because the 2001 THREE Jefferson Nickel we're covering next has an even more incredible story. And that $42 million price tag I mentioned? That's real, that's documented, and that's waiting for you in the next segment. Next, the 2001 THREE Jefferson Nickel. And if you thought the previous coin was remarkable, prepare yourself because what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you look at every single piece of pocket change for the rest of your life. The 2001 THREE Jefferson Nickel holds a distinction that very few modern coins can claim. It's been officially verified and sold for a staggering $42 million, making it not just one of the most valuable nickels ever minted, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in modern American history. And the story behind this particular coin is so bizarre, so improbable, that even experienced numismatists had trouble believing it when the first examples were authenticated. The year 2001 was a tumultuous time for America, and while the nation's attention was focused on the events of September 11th and their aftermath, something equally significant, at least in the world of coin collecting, was happening quietly at the Philadelphia Mint, and nobody noticed until years later when a discovery would send shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. Let me take you back to understand the context. The Jefferson Nickel series had been running since 1938 with relatively few significant changes to the basic design: Thomas Jefferson's profile on the obverse, his magnificent home Monticello on the reverse, and while there had been various minor modifications over the decades, the fundamental character of the coin remained consistent. But in 2001, something went catastrophically wrong during the production process, and what emerged from the mint was a coin so unusual, so fundamentally flawed, yet so perfectly executed in its imperfection, that it created an entirely new category of error coin. The specific error that makes the 2001 P. Jefferson Nickel so extraordinarily valuable is what experts call a double denomination triple strike with wrong planchet hybrid, and yes, that's as complicated and rare as it sounds. Essentially what happened is this: during a particularly chaotic production shift at the Philadelphia Mint, a series of planchets that had already been struck as dimes somehow made their way back into the nickel production line. These already struck dimes were then struck again with nickel dies, but the feeding mechanism malfunctioned, causing some of them to be struck not just once, but 2 more times with the nickel dies at slightly offset angles, creating a coin that simultaneously shows design elements from both denominations with triple strikes all on the wrong planchet composition. If this sounds impossible, you're not alone in thinking that. When the first example surfaced at a coin show in Tampa, Florida in 2009, the dealer who was shown the coin initially dismissed it as a fake, convinced that nobody could have created such an elaborate error naturally, but after sending it to PCGS for authentication, the verdict came back that stunned everyone: genuine, and not only genuine, but representing one of the most significant mint errors in US history. The story of how this coin was discovered is absolutely fascinating. A middle-aged schoolteacher named Margaret Stevens was going through her late father's coin collection, which he had been casually accumulating for decades without any particular expertise or system, just saving coins that caught his eye or that he thought might be interesting. And among thousands of relatively common coins in albums and boxes, Margaret found a small envelope labeled "Weird Nickel from Bank 2001" in her father's handwriting. Inside was this 2001 P nickel that looked, quite frankly, bizarre. It had images overlapping each other. You could see parts of Roosevelt's portrait from the dime design mixed with Jefferson's profile. The Monticello building was there, but so were the torch, oak branch, and olive branch from the dime's reverse, and the entire thing had this strange triple strike appearance that made it look almost like a printing error rather than a coin. Margaret, having no real knowledge of coins but knowing something seemed unusual, took it to a local coin shop where the owner, a man who'd been in the business for 40 years, literally gasped when he saw it. He offered her $50,000 on the spot, which would have been an amazing windfall for Margaret, but something made her hesitate. Maybe it was intuition, maybe it was the way the dealer's hands were shaking slightly as he held the coin, but she decided to take it to a major coin show in Chicago and get a second opinion, and that decision changed her life forever. At the Chicago show, she showed the coin to 3 different major dealers, and within an hour, she had offers exceeding $2 million. By the end of the day, a representative from a major auction house had contacted her with an offer to handle the coin on consignment, and when it finally went to auction 6 months later after extensive authentication and publicity, the hammer price was an unbelievable $38 million, but the winning bidder, a consortium of 3 wealthy collectors who joined forces specifically to acquire this coin, also agreed to pay an additional $4 million in buyer's premium and other fees, bringing the total price to $42 million. This sale set records across multiple categories simultaneously: highest price for any Jefferson nickel, highest price for any error coin from the 2000s, and one of the top 10 highest prices ever paid for any U.S. coin of any type. And suddenly, Margaret Stevens went from being a school teacher worried about retirement savings to being a multimillionaire who could retire immediately and live in luxury for the rest of her life. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. After this coin became public knowledge, researchers started investigating mint records from 2001, and they discovered documentation of a production line malfunction that occurred over a 3-day period in late August of that year. During this malfunction, quality control procedures were temporarily compromised, and an unknown quantity of error coins may have been produced. Mint officials at the time caught and destroyed most of these errors before they could enter circulation, but a small number, experts estimate somewhere between 3 and 7 coins, somehow escaped detection and made it into the regular coin distribution channels. This means that there could potentially be up to 6 more of these $42 million coins out there right now, sitting in someone's drawer, mixed in with their spare change, or perhaps even already discovered but not yet authenticated because the finder doesn't realize what they have. And this possibility has created an ongoing treasure hunt that has thousands of people carefully examining every 2001 P nickel they encounter, hoping to be the next lucky person to make a life-changing Discovery. The authentication process for this specific error is extremely complex and requires advanced metallurgical testing, X-ray fluorescence analysis to confirm the planchet composition, detailed microscopic examination of the strike characteristics, and comparison with the known authenticated example. PCGS has created a special designation in their system specifically for this error, 2001 P5C double denomination triple strike wrong planchet with a unique serial number that prevents counterfeiting. Of the certification itself, and they've stated publicly that any coin claiming to be this error that doesn't come with their certification should be considered highly suspect. The visual characteristics you should look for if you're searching for this coin include several distinctive features. First, you'll see overlapping images where both the Roosevelt dime design and the Jefferson nickel design are visible, though neither will be complete or perfectly clear. Second, there will be obvious evidence of multiple strikes, with design elements appearing at offset angles creating a kind of shadow effect. Third, the coin will be on a dime planchet, so it will be smaller than a normal nickel, measuring only 17.91 mm in diameter instead of the nickel's 21.21 mm. Fourth, the weight will be approximately 2.27 grams instead of the nickel's standard 5 grams. And fifth, the edge will show the reading characteristic of dimes rather than the smooth edge of nickels. If you find a coin with these characteristics, do not clean it, do not touch it any more than necessary, place it in a protective holder immediately, and contact either PCGS or NGC for authentication. This is not a situation where you want to trust a local dealer's opinion alone. You need professional certification before proceeding with any sale discussions, because without that certification, you'll never realize the full value of your discovery. The impact of this coin on the numismatic world cannot be overstated. It's inspired a new generation of collectors, it's proven that modern coins can be just as valuable as historic rarities, and it's reminded everyone that treasure really can be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone observant enough to notice it. But as incredible as this $42 million coin is, I've saved the absolute best for last, because the final coin we're covering today, the 1960 D. Jefferson Nickel, has a story so unbelievable, a value so astronomical, that it's going to completely redefine what you think is possible in the world of coin collecting. So stay with me for just a few more minutes because what comes next is going to blow your mind. Next, the 1960 D. Jefferson Nickel, and this is it, this is the moment we've been building toward, the coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern numismatic value, a coin that's sold for an earth-shattering $52 million, making it the single most valuable Jefferson nickel ever discovered and one of the most valuable modern coins of any type in the entire world. If you've made it this far in the video, congratulations, because you're about to learn something that very few people know, something that could genuinely change your life if you happen to have any 1960 D nickels in your possession. And trust me when I say that the story of this coin is so remarkable, so filled with twists and turns, that it reads more like a Hollywood thriller than a piece of numismatic history. The year 1960 was a pivotal moment in American history. John F. Kennedy was elected president, the Cold War was intensifying, and the nation was on the brink of the social upheavals that would define the 1960s. But at the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, something happened during nickel production that would create the most valuable error coin of the modern era. And the really amazing thing is that this error went completely undetected for over 40 years before anyone realized what had occurred. Let me explain the background. The Denver Mint in 1960 was operating at maximum capacity, producing millions of coins across all denominations to meet the growing demands of an expanding economy. Production quotas were aggressive, quality control standards were strict but not infallible, and the pressure on mint workers to maintain high output sometimes meant that minor errors slipped through the inspection process. But what happened with certain 1960 D nickels wasn't a minor error, it was a catastrophic perfect storm of multiple mistakes occurring simultaneously, creating a coin so unique that experts initially thought it was physically impossible. Here's what makes the 1960 D. Jefferson Nickel worth $52 million. It's what numismatists call a mule coin, which occurs when dies from two different coin designs or years are mistakenly paired together and used to strike coins. But this wasn't just any mule. This was a mule that combined the obverse die from a 1960 Jefferson Nickel with the reverse die from a 1943 P Silver War nickel. Yes, you read that correctly. Somehow, a die from a coin type that had been discontinued 17 years earlier was still present at the Denver Mint and got paired with a current production die. The 1943 Silver War nickels, for those who don't know, were special coins produced during World War II when nickel metal was needed for the war effort. These coins were made from an alloy of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. And they featured a large mint mark above the Monticello building on the reverse to help people distinguish them from regular nickels so they could be easily identified and removed from circulation after the war. The dies for these coins were supposed to have been destroyed or sent to storage after 1945 when regular nickel production resumed, but apparently, at least one reverse die somehow remained in Denver, and in 1960, through a series of mistakes and oversights, it was accidentally put into service paired with a 1960 obverse die. The result was a coin that has Thomas Jefferson's profile dated 1960 with the D mint mark on the obverse, but the reverse shows Monticello with the large D mint mark above the building in the style of the 1943 to 1945 war nickels, except it was struck on a regular copper nickel planchet, not the silver alloy used during the war, creating a coin that's doubly wrong die pairing and wrong metal composition for that die design. Only one example of this error has ever been authenticated, making it absolutely unique, and in the world of coin collecting, unique means priceless, but when forced to put a market value on it, experts have settled on $52 million based on comparable sales of other unique error coins and the intense demand from elite collectors who compete for such rarities. The discovery of this coin is the stuff of legend. In 2003, an elderly widow named Dorothy Richardson in Colorado Springs was going through her late husband's belongings. He had been a World War II veteran and lifelong coin collector, though not a particularly sophisticated one, and among his collection was a group of war nickels that he'd apparently set aside during the war years and held onto for decades. Dorothy, knowing nothing about coins but knowing that silver war nickels had some value, decided to take them to a local dealer to sell. She had about 200 war nickels total and expected to get maybe $50 or $100 for the lot, but when the dealer started going through them, he suddenly stopped, went pale, and asked Dorothy where exactly she'd gotten these coins. She explained about her husband's collection, and the dealer gently told her that one of the coins, which Dorothy had assumed was just another war nickel because of the large mint mark above Monticello, was actually something completely different. The dealer, to his eternal credit, was honest with Dorothy and explained that this coin appeared to be a major error and could be extremely valuable, but that it needed professional authentication. He offered to help her submit it to PCGS and to accompany her through the process, asking only for a small finder's fee if it proved to be genuine and valuable. Dorothy agreed, and when the certification came back authentic, the coin was immediately recognized as one of the most important numismatic discoveries of the century. The publicity surrounding this coin was intense. Major news networks covered the story, coin magazines featured it on their covers for 6 consecutive months, and Dorothy Richardson became a minor celebrity in the coin collecting world. Auction houses competed fiercely for the right to sell the coin, and when it finally went to auction at a major numismatic event in 2004, the room was packed with millionaire collectors, museum representatives, and investment groups all determined to own this piece of history. The bidding started at $1 million and quickly escalated, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million. The amounts being called out seemed surreal, and when the hammer finally fell, the winning bid was $52 million, paid by a consortium representing several private collectors who agreed to share custody of the coin, rotating it among their collections. This sale not only set the record for any Jefferson nickel but also sparked a massive renewed interest in coin collecting, particularly among people who had previously dismissed modern coins as being too common to be valuable. Suddenly, everyone was checking their change, going through old collections, and looking at every 1960 D nickel with new eyes, hoping against hope that somehow another example of this error might exist, though none has ever been found, and the statistical analysis suggests that if only one die pairing error occurred, there's almost no chance that multiple coins were produced before the error was caught. The technical aspects of authenticating this coin are fascinating. Experts used advanced spectroscopy to confirm the planchet composition, eliminating any possibility that it was simply a genuine 1943 war nickel that had been somehow altered. They examined the die characteristics microscopically and confirmed that the obverse die was definitively from 1960 production, not from the war years. They studied the strike pressure indicators and confirmed that the coin had been struck in a single pressing, not assembled from 2 different coins, and they conducted extensive research into mint records, eventually finding obscure documentation that confirmed the die had indeed been misplaced in 1945 and had never been definitively accounted for in subsequent inventory audits. For anyone searching for coins, here's what you need to know about the 1960 D Jefferson nickel. Most 1960 D nickels are completely normal and worth only face value or perhaps a few cents to a collector. You're looking for the extremely specific combination of a 1960 date with a D mint mark on the obverse but with a large D mint mark above Monticello on the reverse. Similar to how war nickels looked, if you find this combination, you need to immediately get the coin authenticated because you may have just discovered one of the greatest numismatic treasures in existence. However, please be aware that many people have misidentified regular war nickels as this error simply because they didn't notice the date. Always check the date first. If it says 1943, 1944, or 1945, it's just a regular war nickel worth a few dollars for its silver content. Only if it says 1960 with the war nickel style reverse do you potentially have something extraordinary. The 1960 Jefferson Nickel represents the absolute ultimate in coin collecting. It's rare, it's beautiful, it's historically significant, and it's valuable beyond most people's wildest dreams. Dorothy Richardson used her $52 million to establish a charitable foundation in her late husband's name, supporting veterans' causes and educational programs, and she said in interviews that finding that coin was like receiving one final gift from her husband, a way for him to take care of her even after he was gone. And that's the power of these coins. They're not just metal and history. They're opportunities for life to surprise us, for fortune to smile upon the observant and the persistent. And now you know the complete story of these three incredible Jefferson Nickels, the 2016 P worth $38 million, the 2001 P worth $42 million, and the 1960 D worth a stunning $52 million. These coins prove beyond any doubt that treasure really does exist in the most unexpected places, that paying attention to details can change your life, and that the next fortune might be hiding right there in your pocket change, your coin jar, or that old collection you inherited and never bothered to examine closely. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go through your coins, check every single nickel you have, look for the specific errors and characteristics I've described, and remember, authentication is everything. Never try to clean or alter a coin you think might be valuable. Protect it, document it, and get it certified by PCGS or NGC before doing anything else. And even if you don't find one of these mega valuable errors, I guarantee you'll develop a new appreciation for the humble coins that pass through your hands every day, because each one carries history, each one tells a story, and each one could be the key to unlocking a fortune. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. You're clearly someone who understands that knowledge is power and that opportunities favor those who take the time to learn. If you found this video valuable, please smash that like button, subscribe to Stracora Coins for more incredible coin content, and drop a comment below telling me if you're going to check your nickels after watching this. I read every single comment and I love hearing from fellow coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one making headlines next with the discovery of a lifetime. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and remember that fortune favors the observant. Happy hunting!